So we visited the Annapolis Boat Show a couple weeks back, and we're going to talk about some of the boats that we saw at the show. We'll start in chronological order of the way we saw them, I guess. We'll start with the XS12 Catamaran. It was a new boat, a new brand rather, from Beneteau, and it was our first time experiencing the boat, and we'll talk about what we thought about it in general and some of the high points and some of the details from the specs, and comparing it to its sort of cousin, the Lagoon 40, which it shares the hulls with.
Seth, you want to try and go in this one? Hi, doing well. How are you?
Good.
Permission to come aboard?
Yes, I just need to grab some information.
Okay.
Get this party started.
Okay.
Tell us about,
nice,
this
please.
is the XS12 Catamaran. It's 38 and a half feet actually, so it's and it's a whole lot of boat in that size range. XS is a brand new brand. This is the premiere of XS. Although it's part of Group Beneteau, so it's the same parent company as the biggest catamaran builder in the world. So it's not their first attempt at building a boat.
I didn't realize it's part of the
It is, yeah. So, and so it's designed to be a little sportier than like the Fontaine Pajots or Lagoons.
narrower hulls.
Well, not so much narrower hulls, but a little more sail area, a little lower center of gravity. They wanted to keep the accommodation in the hulls that people like, so you still have space in the berths and everything.
So Diana, what were your overall impressions of the boat?
So very clean, very minimalist for cushions and design. Did have dual helms.
It did?
The boat we happened to be on had the option for the sunroof, or whatever they called it. So there's two options out back over the cockpit area. I did not care for the fact that the dual helms were not fully enclosed, so in a really bad storm you'd either have to navigate inside or you would have to just deal with the weather. So they were only closed in on 3 of the 4 sides.
Are there enclosures for the home station? There are, yeah. There's
Zippers, I see.
Yeah, I see
there's
zippers.
a full clear enclosure that goes forward here and on the side to protect the home station. As well as drop-down enclosures for the sides here and the entire back of the cockpit.
So is it continuous from this wall straight across in front of the helm station?
It is not. No, there's a door here and a walkway here, so you can always get out to the deck.
Yep.
And there's no enclosure on this inner side of the helm stations, right?
There's not. That's correct. But again, if you're in really inclement weather, you can fully enclose this area.
Right.
So as soon you come out here, trim the sails, and then you can duck back inside this flap, and this whole space is
Here with the autopilot.
Yeah, exactly. And this whole space is heated and air conditioned. So
This space is.
This
yeah.
is.
Well, the salon is.
Okay. When
Because I've done off-season deliveries on
Okay.
cats like this, and it's you can keep yourself warm if you need to.
Is this the storage?
That's there's a drop-down side cover.
Got it.
It's always handy. You don't have to go dig for it.
Counter surfaces, there was no U-shaped galley on this boat, so if it's somewhat rough seas or there's a lot of movement inside the boat, cooking could be a challenge. The countertops also didn't have a lip, so there was nothing to keep anything that you were working on the counter if you were underway. So doing things in the galley while you're moving is going to be difficult in that boat.
I agree. I thought of some of the same things. When we approached the boat from the rear, first getting on, I noticed that the helms were very, very close to the sugar scoops. In fact, the backs of the seats are right at the top step of the sugar scoops. And I didn't like that they were not a solid back to the seats. They're a textile material strung between 2 posts as your backrest. And I think if you were in really rough seas, or at least I wouldn't feel comfortable there, knowing it was just that piece of fabric that I was leaning against, keeping me from rolling over backwards off the boat. The helm positions are kind of nice. I mean, that's where performance boats, both monohulls and catamarans, put their helms. Especially if they're they're on a lean. You sit on that windward side, and you can see clear down the boat and out in front of you. There's no coach roof or cabin in the way. But on a ship that you're going to potentially sail in rough weather, and you know that's I don't know. I'm not sure that I'm sold on having the outboard helms like that. It is nice having two helm stations. It does free up some space in the cockpit area. Although when you compare it to the sister lagoon, it really doesn't change much at all in the cockpit. What they traded off in space in the cockpit was actually just a spot where there's, I think, a refrigerator in the excess outside. That becomes where the helm station is. And then you free up your access to the sugar scoops.
Yeah, so a convertible roof, like I said, which is an option, but it does, you know, still like today we can just pull it, right?
The optional folding rag top, I don't think I care for that either. It was kind of nice. We were looking at it, you know, somewhat appealing to be able to slide it back, get some sun if you want. But then, you know, after thinking about it for a while, when we're on our boat, you know, we're still thinking, you know, over this winter while we're not on it, how do we find some clothes to protect us from the sun? Because we get cooked when we're out on in the open cockpit. So we're usually looking for ways to hide from the sun anyway. And on the boat like that, you've got the whole trampoline up front. So if you want to get out into the sun, you go up front, lounge in the trampolines for a while, or even on top of the coach roof if you wanted to. And then the other thing is that there's two things that go away when you do that folding rag top. One is roof space for solar panels. If you're going to take it out cruising and you want auxiliary power without having to run the generators, you're going to want to cover that with solar panels, and you're going to want to be able to walk up there too to service the mainsail. But the other thing that you notice when you compare it to the lagoon is that there's a lack of a traveler on the excess. I noticed on their computer generated images it showed a black, maybe aluminum track for a traveler on the back, but I haven't seen an actual boat with one of those, including the one that we went on. It had a set of pulleys rigged up, basically 2 blocks and tackles from port and starboard that kind of attempt to replace a proper traveler. And it's nice to have it. I mean, it's not critical. I mean, we're certainly not racing, but it is nice to be able to decouple the boom tension from the boom position, and that's what a traveler lets you do. You can change the angle of the boom swinging left and right by moving the traveler car, and then adjust the tension on the boom, which is something that you normally would do with a Vang or something like that. But there's no way not to when you're close to the traveler. If you hike in on that main sheet, it's going to pull it close to the traveler and pull the boom down. But if it's a short throw between those, it somewhat decouples that. Of course, when you've got the boom way out for sailing, you know, downwind, it doesn't help you much at all because it's way off the side of the boat, not anywhere near the traveler. But now the angle is totally different. Now the angle is sideways instead of vertically. But anyway, I don't think that's a huge thing, other than it does clutter the view from the back of the boat.
Southerly. Pretty aggressive, right?
You know, when you've got the traveler up on the coach roof, there's nothing behind you but davits and maybe your rubber dinghy. But with the excess, you've got at least 6 ropes going up and down from the pulleys to the boom.
You want to go check out down below? Yeah. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Me too.
Very nice mountain. Hey, do you want to sit down? Nice big windows, though. You got it, bud. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Very stiff.
No, you can't.
Don't climb up.
This is in case the boat went upside down for some reason.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's probably a great idea. Lots of light in these though.
So this is the guest cabin with the full separate shower. Yeah.
So it's a half walk around.
I want up
Can I see that one?
Yep.
In there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exactly pretty much.
I think going inside, I saw similar things. We watched the review from Ruby Rose where they talked about the quality of the interior not being quite as good as the others. I can't say that I necessarily saw that. I'm not sure there was a single boat that we looked at the show that didn't have a veneer and finish, at least on some of the surfaces. Even the ML, I'm pretty sure, had some veneer coated surfaces. So maybe there's a quality of the veneer, maybe the edges aren't as smooth and trimmed and well cut, maybe not. I didn't notice a big difference between most of the boats that we were on. Something that Ruby Rose pointed out was the countertop. On the boat that they looked at it, they were saying that it had some sort of laminate cooktops, or not cooktops, but countertops in the kitchen. And we did not see that on this boat. This boat had a solid surface countertop.
Yeah.
But unlike the Lagoon, like you pointed out, it had no edges, no fiddles to catch your bowls from sliding off or your mother's pickles.
Yeah.
But styling wise, I actually kind of liked the boat. I like that style of boat anyway. I liked the more European looks of the Bavarias, the Beneteaus. I've always been a fan of the Beneteau boat lines since I was a kid. So this one was, I think, no different. We were talking a little bit about the color scheme. It's nice to see different colors.
Yeah.
The sort of burgundy-ish color
It's
they
like an
have.
orange, yeah. It was like
Orange.
a burnt orange.
Yeah, burnt umber maybe. I don't know. It looks kind of cool now, but maybe that looks dated in 10 years. Who knows? Blue seems to never go out of fashion.
Now you get a better feel for the salon.
Yeah. You know, this looked small on the pictures. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not that bad.
It's I mean, it's amazing. It's really everything you need to cruise for a family of four like you got.
And it's got the steep windows.
Nope, other side.
That overhang.
Go behind Daddy.
I'm going down that one.
No, we already went down that way. Go down that way with Dad.
Now, what do you think? Is this a nice little step up from the O'Day for living space?
It is. I do. My only problem with the kitchen, though, is like if you're underway, there's nowhere to like really brace yourself if you're cooking at the same time. Like there is no galley, which is kind of nice. We've been in some pretty rough seas, but
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
thing. The
agreed.
motion's totally different.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, you can get down there and get a lift.
Yeah, I
I
will.
can walk back here.
That's all right. I'm used to it. Hey, I'm coming down. You get out of the way.
Hey, this is a ladder.
Sit up.
This is
please.
a ladder.
What do you think? This is a nice little
What are you doing?
I can walk back here.
That's all right.
This is a ladder.
No, it's not. It's a bookshelf. Books or magazines or other things you might need, trinkets.
Boy.
Toys? No. You'd be on the other side. Nathan, stay right there. Nathan? I know, you stay. Did you see the shower?
What?
Did you see the shower? No. No, it's not. It's a bookshelf.
There's books.
Books or magazines or other things you might need, trinkets.
Boy.
Toys? No. You'd be on the other side. What are you doing? Huh.
Jeez, it's almost like a hidden door from this side.
It is.
Yep. And there's stowage behind there, actually, when it's closed.
Yeah, I noticed the other
Wait.
cabinets underneath.
Wait, really?
Yeah, really.
Mom?
Careful.
Mom?
You gonna slide it over?
I'm going now.
You're gonna go out? No, you're gonna stay with me for a second. Okay. Alright, watch out. Gee, I'm glad I put the grippy socks on you today, kid.
Into the Inside of the boat, you know, it is a relatively small catamaran. It's a 38, 39 foot
Yeah.
boat. They call it a 40 in the lagoon. But it was actually pretty spacious down below for such a small boat. You know, it did not have a full walk-around berth in the backs, the master or the guest, but it was at least half walk-around. The forward berths were crawl-in type. You know, the doors came right up to the bottom of the bed, and you would have to crawl into that. But you know, that's one guest room in the 3-stateroom model, and maybe throw the kids in there. They don't care about. They probably prefer climbing into the beds. But the master suite was big. It was huge. Without having that middle bathroom set up, that made that cabin plenty spacious. I was actually surprised how big that was inside. But I guess that, on the other hand, it's not too surprising given that it's based on the lagoons, which are known for having big wide hulls. What did you think of the interior spaces?
The interior spaces were good. Just for ease of making the beds and just cleaning up, I do prefer being able to walk around the beds. But for the space that was there, they made very good use of that space. So there's a lot of storage. So the model we were in was a 3-bedroom, 2-head unit. So there were plenty of hanging closets on both sides. Both bathrooms were relatively spacious. Lots of storage behind, so the master side had a door that would close. There was additional storage behind that, just to give you some privacy as well. But again, very clean lines. I think they did a really good job with it. Some of the controls were hidden down below as well in one of the hulls, so they weren't all at the nav station, but the nav station was very minimalist, didn't have its own chair or seat. It wasn't forward facing, it was actually kind of facing to port. So if you were sitting there, you're sitting kind of on the L shape of the dinette, kind of looking out. Instead of forward, you're kind of looking off to the side.
Right.
But again, very minimalist on the nav station side of things as well. They did have an iPad holder on this side, and I don't know if that was custom to that boat or if it's standard. But that was part of that nav station that was there.
I think more and more people are beginning to do a lot of their boat work on mobile devices. You know, we certainly do our navigation with the Navionics on our cell phone. Might upgrade to a tablet for next season, maybe just could make it easier so you don't have to be constantly looking at something that's down below. We can mount it up on the back of the cabin and be able to see it from anywhere in the cockpit. And maybe plug it in and keep it powered, kind of thing. But anyway, I agreed with the storage. There's plenty of storage in there. You know, we're used to working with our motorhome and camper and the little boat and jamming things everywhere we can. And well, the big motorhome has got acres and acres of storage, and I'd say it felt similar to the accommodations that we get in there, and no lack of places to put things. Or at least for a few weeks at a time. And if it were just 2 people, I mean, that'd be acres of room. We're usually overwhelmed with kid stuff, sleeping bags and junk.
Oh. Yep.
Oh, you're going up here.
So then if you come up here, some other features that are really useful. You've got a self-tacking jib. So I'm sure you know from your own about how much easier that makes. It makes things to just be able to turn the wheel to tack. And then again, to go with the performance theme, they've got the furling code 0, so, or screecher, whatever you want to call it.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and that in light air, you can get up close to wind speed. And you got a generator in that locker where it's soundproofed and far away from your aft sleeping cabin.
Yep. And then storage.
And then both of the bow lockers are big storage areas.
And that's a ladder, so you can go up there.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's a ladder to get up on the roof.
The handhold is nice, but it's like he would never be able to reach this until he gets to like my height.
Come on, guys.
All right, let's go back in. You follow Dad. You want to hold my hand? You're good. Let's see.
Okay.
Then I don't
You sure?
That's okay, we still have to go down.
Yeah, so
Nathan, are you
convertible roof
driving?
lights, which is an option, but it does,
No, don't. Hey, hey.
Outside the boat, easy to walk forward, no problems there. I like the fact that the coach roof comes out over the windows like the lagoon does, gives them shade. You get the vertical windows, it helps keep the sun out when it's not wanted. I think it would be hard to get up on that coach roof in rough weather or even a mildly rough sea. It's just the little steel stair up and nothing on top to grab onto other than the gutter. And so you're kind of getting up on your knees to get up on there. Hopefully you wouldn't really need to get up there, but it's not a furling main, so you'd have to get up there at some point.
Right. And that ladder too, that to get up to that coach roof did not sit right. Like even while we were there, it wasn't in the right spot. They were kind of fiddling with it, so it was not super sturdy. So
I think it's supposed to fold up onto the coach roof to get out of the way of the window when you're not using it.
But still, if it's rough seas and you're trying to get up there, it's bouncing around on you.
I'd rather it be fixed than be built in.
The handrails to get out front as well were molded into that gutter, so there was a decent amount of grip for me, but the position of it was hard. So like our kids wouldn't be able to use that at all until they were close to 5 feet tall. And even then, it was a stretch.
You'd be a teenager at least to be able to reach but
it did go all the way around.
My kids up there anyway in the rough sea.
Right.
So maybe that's not a big. I didn't particularly care for that. I mean, you could get your hand into it.
You can get your hand in.
And I have a pretty big hand, but it didn't feel. It wasn't as positive a grip as a rail. If you've got a pipe in your hand kind of thing, that's a lot more positive.
Correct.
You can get your thumb around it, and you get a lot of your gripping power from your thumb, not your fingers. So, being able to wrap both of them around in a rough sea, I'd rather have a rail. I think. Onto the sails and the specs. Maybe if you grab the spec sheet, I think I found some typos and seem to be pretty good at that. The boat shows. We were comparing the boat to the lagoon to see what made it different. When I asked the salesperson what the selling angle of the boat was, and he says, well, to be on the sportier side of the production cruising catamaran. So I said, well, how do you do that? And he said, well, mostly sail area. And that seems to be true. We look at the two boats. The XS has a reported mast height of 59 feet and 11 inches versus the lagoon at 60 and a half. So that there isn't a whole lot of difference there. It's basically 6 inches of mast height, but the boom height is much lower on the XS because it doesn't have the raised helm with the little roof over it. So the boom swings very close to the coach roof. And the main sail, if we compare the square top mainsails, it's 538 square feet on the XS versus 484 square feet on the lagoon. There's this pulse line option on the XS, and I'm wondering if that's the same. We never get a chance to ask. I'm wondering if that's the same as the full battened main that is advertised on the lagoon. So if you look at total upwind sail area, you compare 882 feet versus 829 feet, and then the pulse line package is 936 square feet versus the full batten main version on the lagoon is 875. So they seem like they get a similar jump up when you compare those two. So I'm pretty sure that the pulse line must be the full batten main rather than the square top main. And then comparing the self-tacking jib versus the Code Zero, this is where I think there must be a typo. Because on the self-tacking jib on the XS spec, it says 344 square feet. And then if you look at it on the lagoon says 516 square feet. That doesn't seem right. Because when you look at the Code Zero on the XS, it says 721 versus the lagoon's reported 344. The code zeros don't get smaller,
No.
so they must have swapped it. So it must be a 516 square foot code zero on the lagoon and a 344 square foot self-tacking jib. Did I type that? Where's the lagoon one?
It's over on the desk.
Oh, that's all right. Never mind. We'll put that in highlights over it. I'm wondering if I made a typo because that's the same number, 344 versus the 344 on the excess. But maybe that's not. Maybe it's the same jib, which would make sense since it's the same boat. And there really isn't much different. There really isn't much difference in the front half because the boom is the part that changes in height between the two. They all have the same capacities for fresh water, engine sizes, and things like that. The only other difference that I noticed between the two was the reported displacement. So the lagoon comes in a fair amount heavier at 24,000 pounds versus 22,700 on the excess. So a little bit more weight in the lagoon. That probably means less carrying capacity because it is the same hull. So it's already weighted down into the water with the lagoon. But who knows? A little bit heavier isn't necessarily a bad thing. You kind of like that in a cruising boat, heavier boats. That's why we picked the boat we have now, because we knew it was pretty heavy for its size, and it definitely makes a difference in the water. It takes waves much smoother when you get a heavier boat. Inertia of the ballast plows you through a wave instead of having you go up and over it. So, yeah. So I think that in general covers most of our thoughts. I don't think it would be a first choice for us, but you never know. We're probably going to buy one in the used market. So when you look at something, it could be the best deal at the time, and it wouldn't be a bad boat, I don't think.
Just not the ideal boat.
It does have covers for the helm stations. You can get out of the weather somewhat. They are detached from the main cockpit because you have to get onto the side decks. So you have to go between the helm station and the cockpit to get up there. So when you do have a helm cover, you're kind of in your own little world out there, enclosed by three sides. But it does get covered up. And that's a similar story on the Bavarias that we looked at, the Nautitechs.
Yeah.
So in review, I think we liked the boat in general. It was a nice looking boat. We didn't see any gleaming errors. One thing I did notice reading some reviews on it is, and we didn't climb below in the engine compartments at all, but it is a cable steer system, which isn't necessarily a big deal. But they've chosen to use Dyneema as it's a synthetic rope, synthetic line, instead of steel cables. I'm not sure why they chose to do that. Yes, probably save some weight. Dyneema is exceptionally strong in tension and very, very low stretch. So it may perform similarly to the steel from a tug and pull perspective, but Dyneema and those other synthetic fibers are not very good at abrasion. So when those Dyneema lines are turning around those sheaves, they rub as they go into a sheave, no matter how smooth it is. So it's only going to be a few years before you're probably having to replace those. Probably not the end of the world if they're easy to get to, but just curious why they chose to do that. But who knows? Yeah. So that's, I think, our review. If you like what you saw, if you have any comments or questions, please leave some comments in the area down below, and hit like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thanks.